The Diode SuperGP Champions Trophy is proudly brought to you by Digital Entertainment On Demand and their associate sponsors. Things looking good so far for Clincella as he's gone 9 for 9 in the Super Pole and puts it on the front row. Alongside him, his arch rival and from last year as well, Brent Haron, on a privately entered Kawasaki. He'll be looking to do some damage to that Neo-Life racing machine you see in your shot right now. Alongside them, it's Sir Lancelot, and it's a 15-lapper that he has to do some battle with the two Kawasaki's that are just ahead of him in terms of proceedings so far. Isaacs, though, is definitely not going to be wanting that to happen at the end of race 1. As we said, 15 laps of action coming your way and about to get going here on the warm-up lap. We've got Yamahas involved, we've got KTMs a little bit further back, and of course the big battle between the Kawasaki's and Kershaw. Will be looking to do exactly what he's just done right now, sneak through the middle of that front row and possibly hole shot into turn 1 on the Tsunami Beach Bar BMW.
We'll talk about it a little bit more as the guys line themselves up, but right now they're just testing out the conditions. The wind has picked up once again. It's a huge headwind down the back straight, so they've got a tailwind into turn number 1. That can deliver some iffy results. The guys may be able to miss their markers, but watch out when they have to go charging down the back straight. Not so much of an issue for the big 1000cc horsepower machines, but definitely going to affect racing and affect lap times. Also, watch out for the fact that I was talking about in the build-up before we played the national anthem, that the inside line at Phakisa Raceway is not the line to start on. It's outside where you want to be. Isaacs and Flock, good starters. They're on the inside dirty line.
Mind games already being playing there.
Saw that.
You can see that they are also just sorting each other out in terms of what they'd like to be doing. Kershaw's backed out of it. He's not going to have any more of that. Skoltz, though, is coming to show that there's a possibility he could throw that Yamaha R1 into the package and into the mix here with the riders at the front end. But you went down a little bit earlier on, Matt, looking at the way things have changed. The wind has picked up, yes, but it has actually changed direction. So it's now blowing across the front end, and it's a headwind onto the front straight. The back straight now is a slight tailwind coming from the right of our screen across. Look at the way the flags are blowing. It's blowing across into here and looking like we've got a little bit of a change on that back straightaway. So you look across to where you see the Pirelli banners here. It's blowing across that back straightaway. So a slight change in wind direction, and it's definitely going to still be a major factor here for all these riders.
Nice high five there for Skoltzy as he looked across to his stablemate. And that's going to be an interesting thing to see. I think the guys that are on the Yamahas this year are going to be absolutely incredible. They're both good starters. I'm talking about Brandon Good and Matty Skoltz. Incredible starters. They will be able to ride through some of the situations of the underpower of the current Yamaha, knowing that maybe later in the year, April time, they're going to be getting their new machinery. But these two riders have got a lot of skill. They will be able to get themselves into a position to benefit from the slipstream of the other riders. Skoltzy particularly is in an incredible position on the outside of the gate.
So here we go. Race 1 of the 2015 season. And we're about to show exactly what SuperGP is all about. 3 riders all looking for an opportunity of the whole shot. But the man they're going to watch out for is just behind them. Kershaw could be the man off the line, and he looks like he's got a great start.
Oh, look at Skoltzy. Skoltz looks like he might be able to get the whole shot.
He has. Whole shot for Skoltz. Haron into second. Sella goes through into third place with the 2 BMs right on his tail as they come out of turn 1. It's Lance Isaacs that just outguns the second BMW there of Kershaw. But Matthew Skoltz under pressure already from Brent Haron. He tries to sneak it up through the little kink there, coming to turn 2. Hard on the brakes, 2 Kawasaki's on the back end, but it is a Yamaha that leads out. We haven't said that
We've said
for a whole season.
I've been saying these Yamahas are running hot, running good, and in these hands they are down on power, but wow, they can fire out the blocks hard. Skoltzy is going to be living on borrowed time though. As soon as they start climbing up to the back end of the track through the Uchinis, he's going to be in trouble. But he's in a good, look at that, he's blazing and lighting up that tire early on, and Haron wants through.
Haron wants through because he knows if he can put Skoltz between himself and Clincella, there's a good possibility he can get away. So Clincella now sitting in third place. He won't believe what just happened there. He got blitzed on the start by a Yamaha starting behind him and up on the inside. What an amazing bit of maneuver there from Matthew Skoltz to get the whole shot.
We got a replay of the start. Skoltzy did a picture perfect drop of the hammer. Look at him. He's to the right hand side of the number 1 on the outside, and he just got that thing fired up and hooked up. It's the second shift, and he just goes tearing through the field.
looks across at Brent Haron, realizes he's done it all right. Look at Brandon Good. 2 Yamahas getting an amazing start. Change up, though, as they go down into Gielkop for the first time.
We knew that would happen on lap 1.
1 and 2, and it's Brent Haron that leads out. The 7-7 bike, the privately entered Kawasaki of Haron, is ahead of the Neolife racing machine of Clincella, your current champion.
Remember, this is 2 races in 1, so as we come across the stripe, it is Haron that leads out over your reigning champion Sella, but we will focus on this for a couple of laps. We will also be going back and picking up on the other race, 2 races in 1. The Super M's will be having their own battle as well, and it's a shorter race, so watch out for the crazy situation towards the end of this race where we'll be pulling and flagging the Super M's off the track before the flag comes out at the end of the race for the Super GPs.
Yeah, loving how this is going to be working out here. So far, so good for Brent Haron. Only took him about half a lap to get the lead back from the whole shot man, Matthew Scholz, who still sits in 3rd place. That is a valiant effort there to stay ahead of the 2 BMWs, who on paper are probably the better bike than the older R1 that he's on. But, of course, Matthew Scholz's riding style is a bit of a wild style, so he can certainly hang on to a machine that might not be conducive for this kind of race action just yet. We know with the new bike that's coming in the very near future, there's a good possibility it's going to be a race-winning package. Right now, the race-winning package is definitely green, and it's in the hands of Brent Haron.
Green or black, because the number 1 is stalking him. The Craig Zank and Neolife machine. Watch out for the pull to be pinned early on. The pin to be pulled even. Here we go, up the inside. Touching of elbows, touching of plastics, and an early pass for Sella, but Haron's going to try and squeeze back at him. Sella wants to lead this one from the front, but Haron isn't going to take it lying down.
I can tell you, Haron was fired up. I caught him at the lunch break, and he was looking like he was definitely the man to beat here today. Clincella, of course, is going to maintain the fact that he has got a massive amount of what is needed to win races. He really has got it all in a package that is definitely something that has to happen. Now, as we go down, here's a replay going in. Look at that.
Haron was not going to back that one down.
Is on that rear section of the motorcycle. Unbelievable stuff.
Huge respect, huge respect between those two to not actually take each other out. But I tell you what, those two are starting to stretch away. The 3rd place battle will start to heat up. Look at Haron late on the brakes and the back end starting to move around, but Haron can run and he can go with Sella. Remember, Sella out-qualified everyone by half a second, but Sella is on the ragged edge. He's trying to throw these 2 early laps together, possibly 3 early laps, and gap the rest of the field. He wants to nail down super pole times for about 3 laps in a row to try and pull the pin. Massive drift.
Big drift there from Clincella, trying to get away from Brent Haron. I was about to say the same thing happened to Haron coming out of turn 2. He also had a big moment. Now the 2 BMWs closing in on Matthew Scholz for 3rd place. It's a matter of time. Scholz can probably hang on, but he's going to find it pretty difficult to keep out Isaacs and Kershaw on those 2 BMs.
The mid-corner of the Yamaha and the mid-corner bravery, basically the only way that's keeping that bike in 3rd place at the moment from Scholz. But watch him spinning mid-corner. He is spinning it up on the inside. He's spinning it up on the entry and the exit. But those BMWs will come through, and the first one is already.
That's Isaacs. There we got Garrick Flock a bit further back. Brandon Good fighting with the first of the Super M's.
What?
Look at the run from Bo Levy. That is incredible stuff. Bo Levy having a super run and sitting in 8th place overall. He's gapped the little margin that they had in terms of one grid position gap between them. But more importantly is he's running on a very similar lap time to Brandon Good on that Yamaha.
That's incredible. Shades of, and I have to give a shout out to Carl Robinson, our reigning Super M champion. Unfortunately not racing in this championship this year, but he was the one guy that could bridge the gap between Super M's and Super GPs, and Brandon Good is not happy about this fact one little bit. He doesn't want to turn around and see a Super M rider. Certainly doesn't want to see a KTM, and he has to let him by. That KTM can run hotter laps than Brandon Good and his Big Bang Yami.
Yeah, I just snuck up the inside there, and Bu Levy now moves ahead of Brandon Good. So battle between the KTM and the Yamaha. The Yamaha, of course, Super GP spec. The KTM is a Super M spec bike, but it certainly has got the ability to run with the mid-pack of the Super GP.
This will not sit well with Brandon Good one little bit. A top 5, and on his day, a top 3 contender in the Super GP Championship on last year's machinery, and he's really just going to have to take a piece and a bit of humble pie, put some sweetener on it, and just suck it up for a couple of months until the new machinery arrives.
You know, when that new R1 gets here, of course, we've already seen it in action worldwide, how good it's been. So I think that's exactly what they're doing, just hanging tough, making sure they can get up there if they can. Brandon Good definitely put in a valiant effort. He was the first man out in Super Pole this morning. Clincella now opening up a bit of a margin over Brent Haron. 3, 4, and 5 is where the battle is, and you can see that it's now Kershaw on the inside of Scholz. He had a big look there, but unfortunately just couldn't make it stick.
Tsunami Beach Bar starting to charge, and Isaac's wide. Isaacs has got a problem. He is way out there, completely rolled out of it, looking down at the bike, and Isaacs on the Black Swan Racing BMW is going to roll out of this one. Watch for him to pull into the pits. He's done.
Oh, he hasn't quite given up just yet, but certainly looking down at the motorcycle, and Garrett Flock
wrong.
is saying, okay, time to pounce. Let me get past him.
He's looking down at the rear brake on the right-hand side, all the clutch. Maybe he sensed that something has gone wrong with the bike, but all the while, that's really helped out Kershaw's situation. He's now going to try and charge, and he's after third place.
Well, the third place battle, of course, are the two rookies of this category. It's Kershaw and Scholz stepping up to thousands for the first time this season, and the two of them are fighting for a possibility of the podium.
You know what? Isaacs has been rattled this whole weekend, not happy with the setup on his bike. Look at the way, he just didn't attack Superpole, and he still came out with a good time, so I'm not going to take anything away with him, but he just does not look comfortable on that bike yet. It's going to take a little while to get himself into the zone, but to the outside, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it, but the rider is not happy with something on his machine.
And if Alonso Isaacs is not happy, he'll definitely make it vocal and get it sorted out by the next time they go racing. But further back here, Shane Levy fighting for honours here and having a nice little battle. It's good to see him fighting. I think it's right at the back there with Gavin Brickle, if I'm not mistaken.
It's Van Loggenberg, so this should be for second place based on their numbers. We'll have to pick up on, see what they're doing. But yeah, Shane Levy, by my count, is a little bit further back than he should be. We should see him running much higher up. By our score sheet, it's the 111 of Yanni Moll, the rider who qualified in third place, who is sitting in second on the road.
Yeah, so 4.5 laps done of 15. Battle continues between these two paddles right through the field. In fact, there's little pockets of riders right through this little field, and battle for third place here in the Super M's. Levy hanging on with Van Lockenberg all over the back of him, looking to possibly sneak through. I don't know if Shane Levy's...
Remember, he qualified in second, Shane Levy, so I'm just trying to see, we've saw him throw quite a few decent laps together. I don't know if he can throw a race together yet. It's been a long time out of the seats.
All right, Scholz's been demoted down one. Nicholas Kershaw up into third place. Kind of what we expected. I think Matthew Scholz is just using his ability more than the machine's ability there to stay in that position. Not to take anything away from the Yamaha. We know that there is a better package on its way. But against the BMW and a Kawasaki that were championship contenders last year, we know that Matthew Scholz is probably riding more than that Yamaha can give him.
Third of the way through this race, and I tell you what, Mark from Pirelli is going to be sweating because all I can see are black Pirelli lines getting laid down from the front and the back wheel of Scholzi. He is going to have canvas by maybe lap 10. He is just too loose on that bike.
And he's certainly working that rubber to the limit. There you go. Confirmation of how we stand. The top 10 is 137.961 coming out of Clinsella, and that was probably a few laps back. It wasn't the last lap he did, but he's got a 1.5 second lead, 1.6 second lead really over Brent Haron in second place there. Then it's Kershaw further 5 seconds back. Scholz is right there with him, as we saw. And Flock now has a bit of a maneuver to make to see if he can get up there with Kershaw and Scholz.
I think what Shane Levy is doing here, he is trying to build up the pace. He's trying to fire up Van Loggenberg and get him going. And these guys are just going to put on a show. They're going for hot laps here. This is for third place. Van Loggenberg just took it back, but it's clear that these two are working together and developing together. Shane Levy is trying to help the boy out.
Yeah, a nice bit of riding there from the two of them, and they certainly are working well to get up to pace. If they can get up to the pace that Bu's got to, which is fighting for what is now 7th place on the road. That is a decent effort there from the KTM rider.
You know what? I'm watching this battle and I'm absolutely loving it as we are over the third split of this race. And Kershaw is not breaking away from Scholz yet. Kershaw's tyres, though, will last a little bit longer. But Scholz is doing a valiant effort, and I don't think he's going to get shaken loose. He should still be able to stay in this third place hunt as long as he's got rubber on the rim.
I'm just impressed with his riding ability to hang on to that machine that clearly is a lot looser than the BMW in front of him. Oh, Gary Flock running wide.
The wild child.
Turn one has gone off.
Yeah, just got too loose, the wild child. Again, another rider who just has come to round one, just not looking as polished as he did at the end of last season. A championship contender is what we were calling out for this year. But, if you're going to finish outside the top 5 at the opening round, it's a hard place to climb from.
All right, just having a look at Kershaw on that last one. Real issues there with that motorcycle, and we didn't pick up on it, but Kershaw's certainly having some issues and starting to slip and slide. Here we go, down into Uncini 1 and 2, and just watch the back end of Kershaw's bike. It's also starting to slip a little bit, and that's a bit of a concern. It's not going to be a concern for Scholz. He's going to love the fact that he's starting to feel the effects of the tyre wear on this track.
Did you see that? Bum in the air. Scholz is a tall kid, and he is trying to bury himself behind the screen. It's working for him though, and a rare shot here of our leaders checking out. Haron tried to run with the numbers in the early stages, but we knew, based on his performances from last year, exactly what Clinton Seller was going to do. Clear air, good start, make passes early if he wasn't out front, and then bang home a couple of Super Pole laps. That's the result.
Yeah, the result is 2.6 seconds ahead of Brent Haron as they cross the line on that occasion, and that is close to the halfway mark. By the time we get down to Coca-Cola Corner, that is the halfway mark of this race. 7.5 completed, 7.5 to go as they get into turn 4.
Keep an eye on that third place battle. It is just starting. As far as I'm concerned, it is the beginning of that story, because Scholz is piling on the pressure. There's a couple of places on the track where he's crazy good. Just some good shots of Clinton Seller. We're at the halfway marker, or closing in on the halfway marker of this race, and Seller knows exactly what is going on around him, and he's just going to bang home solid laps. He's in the 138s. That's where he'll stay.
I can see if he can stay there all the time. The 38s is basically what he qualified on. Remember, we did see a 38 out of Brent Haron this morning in the qualifying session. So he also has the ability to run with the kind of pace that we're seeing out of Clinton Seller right now. However, we're into halfway stage of the race as we speak. So is he going to be able to run with him and get back to him? I'm not sure. It will take a big mistake out of Seller.
Seller's just too polished, isn't he? He knows exactly what to do. What was the hand up there? I think he's just waving at the cameraman. He is putting on the show. We'll have to go back and see what that hand up was for, but there was no one else around him. He wasn't waving at anyone else except the birds out there on the side of the track and the photographers. Maybe the marshals.
Maybe he picked up on Eric Busey's out there probably taking some photos for the Near Life team. Came in a wave, say, yeah, it's all good so far.
He'll be just laughing. I mean, when you can put on a show of dominance like this at the halfway marker of the race, look, here we go. Here's the replay. Down the back straight, literally just waving to the cameraman. That's got to hurt if you're Brent Haron and you are giving it everything to try and close him down, and the guy in front of you is literally showboating.
Well, I can tell you that Brent Haron is giving everything, just like Matthew Scholz is. Scholz is absolutely riding the wheels off this R1 to stay with Nicholas Kershaw's Tsunami Beach Bar BMW.
The only concern I have about this, and it's the same concern as you have, is we've seen it so many times on the 600s when Scholz rides this loose and this ragged. Unfortunately, while he's trying to apply pressure to the rider in front and force a mistake from him, Scholz is often the man that makes his own mistake.
And the thing right now is picking up on the fact that they're both ex-600cc riders from last year. The Super 600 battles we used to see between these two were pretty epic. And, of course, Kershaw being one of the riders who could take it to both Matthew Scholz, who was on the same team as Udendal last year, and were two championship contenders heading into the final rounds.
Let's have a run through then. Oh, man, down is Haron. Haron has thrown it down the road, pushing too hard to try and close down that early lap, and that's going to make everyone shuffle up. That was second place. The big guy has thrown it in the bin.
Well, let's have a look and see if we can get the bike up and possibly riding again. Doesn't look like there's too much damage there, but yeah, a massive, massive mistake there from Brent Haron. Left-hand side of the bike is good. That's the gear-changing side. He doesn't need the right-hand side because that's where the back brake is, and majority of these riders do not use that back brake. Hopefully, the throttle lever and the brake lever are okay. But there you see it in the back. Oh,
that's turn one. Turn one. He's running in too hot. Oh, turn four, actually. Turn four, yeah. I'm just trying to catch up where I'm on the track. Turn four, pushed it in too hard, lost the front end. So he's trying to do the close down on brakes, pushing the front end too hard.
He was pushing hard because look how he closed up there. We actually got to see both riders in that shot and hopefully get one more replay of that so you can actually see how close he was to Clinsella.
Which makes Kershaw second place. Now it's on. They'll have seen that rider go down because Scholz has now got a chance for not only a podium, not a fourth place, but a possible second place in his first time out on the big bike.
And this will be the first podium that Yamaha has seen. So that's going to be something he's going to push hard for. And let me tell you something, now that Lance Isaacs has seen a possibility of a podium, he is probably going to start pushing in the background. There's enough laps in hand with 5.5 to go to close down on Kershaw and Scholz and possibly put that Black Swan BMW back up on the podium.
I think we're going to see the gap come down, as you said, between Isaacs and the back wheel of Scholz, and it's almost on cue. As Isaac sees a problem for another rider, he's able to pounce. But I have noticed in some of the trailing shots as we pan through, the back end of Lance Isaac's BMW is extremely loose, especially here as he tries to back it in. And he's changing his lines, completely un-Isaacs-esque lines, going the whole way around the circuit. And look at Kershaw starting to push now. The front end of the Tsunami Beach Bar BMW is wagging its tail. Oh, man, big drift on the way in. I could watch, just leave it on Scotts. I'll just watch him the whole way around this lap.
Yeah, he's pretty impressive to watch, especially when he's riding this hard. Another massive black Pirelli line going out onto that back straightaway, trying to close down on Kershaw. Kershaw's got that little edge, little margin. It might be enough to hang on for, but there's still 5 laps to go as they come across the line, as we're going to get into the last third of this race.
And remember, in South Africa, if you're out there in International World watching on live streaming, these are essentially road tires that we race on over here through homologation rules. So these things are crying out, and Scotts is doing himself an incredible job and bringing all that experience that he's learned. And another off for Flock. That's 2. Oh man, this is just not a good start for the Wild Child, and he needs to go and figure out what he's doing wrong. It's just too many mistakes too early on.
Well, we had a chat to Steve Cannon at the lunch break as well. I saw him down in the canteen. He was saying that it's pretty difficult to get both bikes up and ready. He's working on Magic Mike's and on Garrick Flock's bike, but he needs to play around. They are playing with different suspension settings, trying to get everything set up 100%, and you can't ask for a better man than him to sort it out.
Oh,
so that means that you can see how difficult it's being there for Garrick Flock.
Yeah, Cannon can make a bike fire for sure. And look, under brakes, the entry speed. Oh, a bit of a wide line for Kershaw. All these little carrots, they're offering hope to Scotts, and there's Garrick Flock. Let me tell you, the last time he came across the stripe, he was down in 10th place. He's got to be going a lap down now.
Yeah, he's been lapped by the leader, because that was Seller that had gone through there. You can see him running off into the kitty litter, just making a slight, probably misjudgment in terms of braking. He does look down, though, so that's a bit of a concern. Maybe there's a possibility of a problem on the bike.
I think if he's looking down left, it's shifter side, so he's having a problem there. Shane Levy cruising. So we're coming up on some of the back markers in the Super M's as the second place battle starts to heat up. Here comes Isaacs.
Isaacs certainly has got a whiff of that podium.
Oh,
and you don't have to ask him twice.
That slowed the pace. The slower Super M riders have definitely caused a problem there.
Gavin Breckel, I think that's the rider they've just cut up onto the back. It has caused a bit of an issue, and it's allowed Isaacs to close in. If Isaacs can just bum it up the inside here, he can't.
Oh, he blocked. So right at the point where Isaacs was closing in, he gets balked, and he has to wait until his straight line can drop the hammer and get through on the KTM. Isaacs chops the nose off the lapper, and he said something crazy in his helmet as he went past as well. You know that.
I'm too happy about that, but he has certainly still got him with a chance as he comes in. So coming into the closing stages now, we're going to go and have a quick look at some of the action that's happened out on track so far.
I'm betting it's a smoking back tyre out of Scotty. Watch the second rider in shot as he lights it up. Watch for the blue smoke. Wow, beautiful.
Lovely bit of action there out of Matthew Scholz. He's riding the wheels and tyres now off that Yamaha. I'm not quite sure how much he's got left. Hopefully enough to get him onto the podium, because that'll be the first podium for our Yamaha squad.
M-Tech Racing Yamaha with Nashua backing this year are praying that Scholz can hang on to some kind of podium. Second or third, they wouldn't care at this stage what it is, but he has got no rubber. Absolutely nothing. I know, Greg, when you go down and speak to him after this race, you'll go and have a look at that tyre. There'll be nothing. Don't worry about wear indicators. We're looking for canvas.
He certainly is pushing it to the level that he probably hasn't had to push ever in his racing career, but he's certainly doing a valiant job, that is for sure. But at the front end now, all on his own sim, no problems whatsoever with almost a 12-second lead. Seller has done everything right.
He's literally cruising around looking for parking. He's going to stop and have a cappuccino, maybe a Neo Life shake, just to keep him going for these last couple of laps. But he is odds on to just smoke this championship. He's actually proving a point here. He's dropped down into the 140s. No one is around.
Fastest lap down to a 37.961. That's a very good time.
That was on lap 3.
Very good time, yeah.
He's just rolled it off since then. You can see in his body language, he's not even climbing around on the bike. He is literally cruising this one. On the other hand, there's Scotty.
And Isaacs. Both of them coming to hunt down Kershaw. Scott's a little bit more sideways than Isaacs is, and I think that's why Isaacs is pushing a little bit harder. He can see that Matthew Scott is battling on that big R1, and if there's any possibility of getting onto the podium, Lance Isaacs is going to take it.
I think for Scotty, the second rider in shot here, who currently sits third place, he was charging and looking for a second place. Unfortunately, the rubber situation is keeping him behind. Yes, he's down on power, but he's been able to manage that situation. Now it's coming down to adhesion. He simply cannot get whatever power is on. Oh! Huge moment there. Back end, front end, everything swapped out. It looks like he was about to throw it down the road. And that is the ultimate limit of these tires. There's nothing left. He's got to start sliding backwards now.
Oh, and he's even going onto the dirt to try and get a little bit of extra traction. That's how hard he's pushing. Lance Isaacs knows that, and he's now going to see if he can pounce.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Unfortunately, what looked like a possible second place is going to be becoming a third. Thankfully, Shane Levy moves over, takes his hand up. But watch this moment. The back end is about to step out. The front end is lost at this point. The back end comes round. He drags his knee on the grass, almost gets torn off the bike, a la Greg Geldenhuys old style. And that is the situation. He got dragged off the bike by his knee on the grass.
Isaacs is through. Isaacs has got into third place. So Matthew Scott's battling with that back end. Unfortunately, has lost the opportunity to get onto the podium here. But it's not over yet. We are about to complete lap number 13 for these riders. And there is still 2 to go. So can we see Scholz maybe salvage something? You can see just gesticulates going, I'm trying as much as I can, guys.
Got nothing left. McCoy has never been this sideways. We're seeing a masterclass in rear wheel steering coming out of Scholzy.
He's just hanging on for dear life now, really. There's nothing else he can do. He's probably going to have to just settle for 4th place. I don't think he's got anything left on that motorcycle that can possibly spoil the day for the 2 BMWs.
The only way you can survive this race, and I do mean survive, is literally running short shift, because he's using the ultimate revs off this bike. That's why he's spinning up. He has to now gear up. You'll watch him fade off the back of this battle. But Isaacs is the man to watch out for. He just doesn't look racy. But somehow, yeah, again, there. I think he's running his tires too hard. He had to wait a long time in the race for him to come on song and get up to temperature. And now he may, only may, have a chance of trying to get that 2nd place.
Right, so Lance Isaacs about 0.9 down on his fastest lap, but he is certainly closing in on the back end of Kershaw. Kershaw also looking for an opportunity to get a little bit higher up in terms of his times. And as they come onto the back straight, Isaacs can see 2nd place. So that is exactly why his timing's been pretty good here, even though it looked like it was going to be all done and dusted. As soon as he saw Haron go down, it was, oh, hold on, there's a good chance of a podium.
Literally, he lit his touch paper at that point and started closing things in. And he just looks like physically in himself, he's got so much more left in the tank. We know how fit he is, but he's so efficient on the bike as well. Doesn't move around at all. And you know that Kershaw is puffing and panting. With 1 lap to go, this is the battle for 2nd place.
So is Kershaw going to hang on and keep Lance Isaacs out? This is the factory BMW taking on the privately entered Tsunami Beach Bar BMW. So Black Swan Racing versus the Tsunami Beach Bar. You don't want to see any of these 2 bikes go down. It might get a little bit hairy here, and Scholzy could survive.
A little bit expensive as well, but definitely underdrive the back end of the Black Swan Racing BMW in the hands of Lance Isaacs, the 38 machine. He cannot get the power down exactly when he wants to.
So as they head down into the bottom section of the circuit, that's the toe of the boot they're into, and Kershaw's hanging on. He's got good lines, and he's still got a little bit of traction. He's able to squirt the bike out of the corners. Isaacs is not sliding. Kershaw was sliding ever so slightly, so that might be just enough difference for Isaacs to get through.
Watch the front end of Isaac's bike. He's got a lot of faith in the front end. The back end, not exactly where he wants, and that's going to come down to tire pressure. But the front end is rock solid. So it may be down into the hook that it's going to happen. That is all front end, and a classic Lance Isaacs overtaking move. He has got the good drive, and he's going to bury himself to make this pass now.
Well, he goes right into the slipstream, pulls out of the slipstream. Can he make it stick? He goes, no, Kershaw's
well done, Kershaw.
Kershaw hangs on. Can you believe that? Wow, he is just going to be able to hang on to this one, but only just ahead of Lance Isaacs. Can Isaacs try something down into Gielkop? Leader is coming here. Are we going to see that overtaking maneuver? The leader is going to be Kinsella and take the checkered flag, but has Isaacs been able to get through?
Got to have a look at that 2nd place. The flag is out for the first race, and Kershaw does survive, so he was able to close that hole at the bottom of the hook, and he is going to get that 2nd place. Isaacs will be all over him, but it's Kershaw, the rookie, who gets 2nd place.
Kershaw, in his first outing in a 1000cc class, goes and takes 2nd place. Matthew Scholz, what a great ride from that youngster as well. Hats off to him, to an amazing effort for a motorcycle that clearly is riding big time to stay with these bigger bikes. Well, not bigger bikes, but the more experienced bikes, because remember, last year they really battled. Now that Scholz is on board, certainly is in with a chance. And not only Scholz, but right on his tail was his teammate. So it's a 4 and 5 there for the Yamaha team. That is a great effort. Well done, Ricky Moraes and the whole MTech Racing Nashua Yamaha squad. Great effort, guys.
What a show. And let's talk about the Super M's for a second. They were offered the option to carry on racing, but at 12 laps the flag came out, and it was Bu Levy who took the win over Yanni Moll and Shane Levy. Gavin Brickle, he got the lap, so unfortunately he went a lap down, and Neil van Loggeberg decided to stay out there for a little bit longer and see what the KTM could do, lasting out there on the circuit. But the guys putting on what was an amazing show. Greg, go show me the back tire of Scott's if you can. That's going to be an incredible thing to look out for. All right, so here's confirmation as my co-commentator Greg Maloney gets down the stairs to go and catch up with reaction. It's going to be I just won from Clinton Seller with a massive 8.7. It could have been more. He just literally, the second half of the race, rolled out of it as soon as the pressure was off, with Haron going down the road. We hope Haron's okay. He did look okay, and RD Racing, Dave Postlethwaite, and the boys from Odin will be working hard to try and get that bike back together for race number 2. Definitely the one man right now who can go after Clinton Sellers' clown. Lance Isaacs gets his 3rd place after looking like he had some problems, and we'll wait and see what kind of explanation him and the Black Swan Racing team give for that. Matty Scholz, one of the best rides we've seen out of the MTech Racing Yamaha squad on the old Yamaha R1 Big Bang machine. Certainly some of the most exciting shots, and there's going to be pictures in the press of that back tire hanging out and smoking with Matty Scholz climbing all over it like Spider-Man. Brandon Good did come through to get his 5th place with the demise of Brent Haron, and obviously Garrick Flock making all those mistakes and going a lap down. Bu Levy got the win in the Super M's ahead of Yanni Moll and Neil van Loggenberg. So we'll wait for the reactions as the guys come in, but the first race of the day for the Super GPs and the Super M's certainly delivering the goods and showing us how tight and close the racing will be. Watch out for when the new Yamahas come, because if that's what Scholz can do on a bike that just was way down on power, that is going to be a massive story for us to keep our eye on. Also, it'll be the fight back in the championship and the climb up the points ladder for Brent Haron to try and close in on the lead that Clinton Seller will walk away with today.
Amazing bit of action there from our first race of the Super M and Super GP combined. You can see both bikes going to be brought in here, both of the Super GP and of Super M together. The one bike I wanted to have a look at has unfortunately not made it onto the podium, but I'll check that out, Matt, for you, just to check on the tyre wear, because it's going to be some fun and games. There's no doubt about it with the 2 classes on the podium at the same time. First time we've had this, that's for sure. But we'd like to get the Super M's done and dusted up here and then concentrate on our Super GPs. So we had to wait a little while because Neil decided he didn't want to come in early after the 12 laps that he was supposed to run. He went and ran 18 laps of racing, so he's clearly showing that the Pirelli rubber can last long, etc., etc. You can run out there for 15 laps, no problem. But let's get him up here as soon as he gets that aero helmet of his up and put that Pirelli cap on. 3rd place in Super M, ladies and gents. Let's hear it for Neil van Loggenberg. In 2nd place, a great effort and a first time out for the Super M class, but I've got to say, all from the same team, which just shows how much the Moto's Clarkstorp guys are putting in here for Super M and for the Super GP Championship as well. It's great to have his teammate up here, and in 2nd place today, that goes to Yanni Moll. And top of the podium for Super M, it's the man who's brought all of these guys along to play. And I'm sure it's going to pay dividend here for him. It's an awesome effort from Bu Levy. Also fought it out for a long time with some of the Super GP riders. Let's hear it for Bu. 3rd place, Mr. Tim Cook from Gas Sports. That'll be handed to Neil van Loggenberg. 2nd place, Mr. Stephen Watson from Gas Sports to Yanni Moll. Good effort. And once again, taking another 1st place in the Super M class. This is the man who's probably going to be the man to beat this season on the 9.9 bike, Bu Levy. Mrs. Lee Watson will hand that to Bu. Let's get a big round of applause there for our Super M category. I'm going to just catch up with Bu for now because we're a bit tight on time. So, Bu, you brought along all your friends to play. They all made it onto the podium. It's all according to the plan.
Yeah, no, it's good publicity for us and new guys getting to the sport, so I'm enjoying it. And then I'm going to get to ride with the Super GP guys and challenge it out with them, so it's fun for me as well.
Certainly is. We were right in amongst some of the Yamahas and the battle for the Super GPs, but certainly a valiant effort from the entire team, and I'm sure that you're looking to for more of the same in the second one.
Yes, maybe I can stay up there and also do 15 laps with the EC1.
Awesome job, and that's a great effort there. Let's move on to our Super GPs. The Super GP is a fantastic battle that raged all the way through. It was great to see both of the MTech Yamahas right up there. Unfortunately, they didn't make it onto the podium, but there is some BMWs that made it there. First of them being, of course, from Black Swan Racing on the BMW, Sir Lancelot himself in third place. Let's get him up here. Well done, Lance. Good job, buddy. Let's get your stablemate up there. It's great to see another BMW fighting for honours, and a new man to the Class 2 in his rookie season in the 1000 cc's. It's the Tsunami Beach Bar BMW of Nicholas Kershaw. Yes, indeed. The Benoni Bomber has started to make his name very well known right from the word go. But unfortunately, they all had to try and catch the number 1 plate. They couldn't do it, and he's back on top of the podium again. Evil Knievel himself on Near Life Racing's amazing machine. Wow, it's Cancella. Third place going to be handed out by Mr. Stephen Watson to Lance Isaacs for Black Swan Racing BMW. Second place to the Benoni Bomber there, Nicholas Kershaw on the Tsunami Beach Bar BMW, Mrs. Lee Watson. You see they teach him well in Benoni, eh? He took the cap off there, well done. Not a lot of the guys do that. And Mr. Tim Cook will hand to Clint Seller for first place. Great effort there, guys. Awesome stuff. Sneaking in there. Right, Lancey, come on down here, big guy. Let's have a quick chat and find out how... I don't want to have to say this to you, buddy, but it hasn't been a great weekend so far. I've been seeing your body language on the bike. There are some issues still to be sorted out, but I know that you're working hard.
Yeah, I don't think it's too many issues. You know, we got to ride the bike for the first time in anger yesterday, so pretty much the first time we've been out on the bike to do any kind of comparison of fast laps. But you know, huge thanks to BMW for bringing Vitiello over from Europe to help us figure out the electronics, or try to figure out the electronics on the bike. We've been improving in every session. Unfortunately, in the race, my gear lever end broke off, so I had to make a plan to actually shift gears with like half my foot. So I'm pretty happy. I felt a lot better in the race and managed to come back and catch the rest of the guys. I ran out of laps, but race 2 will go better for sure.
Awesome job, keep it up. Let's move on to the Benoni Bomber quickly, because we are a bit tight on time, but once again a magnificent effort from your side. First time in the thousands and up onto the podium.
Yeah, sure. It's actually quite an amazing feeling. I needed a change, so we decided this year we're going to step up onto the 1000 and give it a go. And so far, it's looking good. Certainly is. Well done. We'll wait for you for the second one, and good luck there. Evil Knievel, come on down here. It's pretty much plain sailing so far, but it's never that, I suppose. It's always a hard job, even if you are a couple of seconds ahead.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Brent was right behind me there, so we were doing some good, strong lap times. You know, I'm not sure what happened. I believe that he had a crash, so I hope he's okay from that. But I managed to, get a gap. Once I saw sort of around 10 seconds, I just wheeled it off. You know, the bikes are very different beasts to what they were last year. Last year, the suspension lasted the same virtually the whole race, whereas now you do see it different from lap 1 to lap 15. So I think it's going to be a bit of maintenance of rider and machine, but all these elements add for a fun day.
All right, we are under starters orders, ladies and gentlemen, for the final heat of the day here.
Apologies.
At round 1 of the Digital Entertainment On Demand SuperGP Champions Trophy.
Apologies for the Yorkshire that keeps coming out of me, but my dad's staying over. Here we go, let's go racing. And it looks like the Yami might have fired good again.
Round the outside, Stella just hangs on.
Oh, Scholzy goes with it.
Scholz goes second. Isaacs to third. Around the outside comes the Benoni Bomber and could possibly outgun the BM on the exit of turn 1.
Tiptoeing.
Oh, look at that!
Watch
trying
Kershaw.
to squeeze through!
Oh, Kershaw trying to thread the needle. There's no needle. There's no needle thread there. Carry the stitch. Here we go.
Kershaw on the brakes, tries to go up the inside of Matthew Scholz. Scholz shuts the door. Garrick Flock with a much better start.
Much better start from Flocky.
That's where we like to see
Wild
him.
Child is running up there. You know who didn't get a good run was Haron. He's going to have to do the big fight up.
Oh, and
Here
Kershaw
comes
the third.
Kershaw, crazy deep on the brakes. He's got a lot of confidence
Isaacs
in that
runs
bike.
wide in the lead there, just picking up on the leader. It is Lance Isaacs,
Oh,
who
this-
just got past Clinsella from 2 to 3, and now is in the lead.
You know
Kershaw
what?
looking for a way through.
The track is drying, Greg. Track is definitely drying, so whatever spots are out there are not really causing these guys much bother.
Yeah, that'll be great if we can get the replay of the start just to check how things turned out.
Here comes Scholzy through
Oh,
on Flock.
Scolts on Flock. Two wild boys at it.
Hey!
Nearly locking wheels, in fact.
Flock was trying to do for the big cutback, but let's go and see how everything unfolded coming off the line.
And off the line, it was amazing stuff, but it's Isaacs who now leads off. Here we go, back to the start. Watch Scolts just on the left-hand side there behind the bright yellow number 1 board.
Watch
But
Haron
look
go
at
backwards.
Goody as well. Brandon Good got off the line and went up into turn number 1 in 4th place. Just got outgunned around the outside, though. Watch the BM of Kershaw. Kershaw goes around his outside and around the outside of Haron. I think that's where Haron got caught out.
Yeah, that inside line is just awful. If you've got a slow ride in front of you, you just get blocked out completely. Seeing what Brandon Good can do this time around. Now they've attacked the lap in anger. They'll be praying. Lap 2 and 3 is where the tyres will come good. And I'll tell you what, we are getting away with this weather for now. It is not too bad.
Okay, having a look at some of the riders that have decided to change their visors ever so slightly as well. One is Isaacs. He's gone with the slightly tinted visor as opposed to the full tint. So he's got a grey lens on as opposed to the dark visor. Behind him, it is a dark visor definitely on Sella, but it's definitely a see-through visor on that Arai. And I tell you something, the Benoni Bomber means business. He's looking to get to the top of the podium.
This is a almost uncomfortable situation for Clinton Sella. We have seen him in this kind of form before, where he doesn't want to throw the bike down the road. He will sometimes roll out of it, but he does get bored. There's only one way to say it, bored in that situation. And then towards the end of the race, he'll start going, I want to race. And then he'll possibly make a mistake. I don't want to throw it down the road like that. But, you know, we need to keep it safe. This is changeable conditions. It's very risky out there. And certainly, I would accept a second place rather than risk a first.
I'm not accepting 6th place out of Brent Haron, though. That's where he sits right now, and he's certainly not getting through the field easily. He hasn't found a way past on Garrick Flock or Matthew Scolts, and he's still got some work to do because Flock has now found a way through on Scoltsy.
I just wish I could speak to the pit crews, because that was the one set of tyres I never saw. And if he's on wets, then his days are numbered. We'll know if he's on wets in 2 laps, because he'll just fade back.
Yeah, it could be a possibility. It's a bit of a gamble to take. It could pay off. It might go the other way. We'll wait and see what the situation arises. Right now, it's Isaacs from Sella. Sella hanging on for second. The Benoni Bomber, of course, in 3rd place there is the Tsunami Beach Bar BMW of Nicholas Kershaw. Then it's Flock.
Oh, Scolts almost out of the sea.
Yeah.
Now, in these conditions, Scolts just cannot ride his normal style. He will go down the road and possibly take himself and someone else out. Because the way he rides, he gets on the gas too early for the bike, too early for the tyres, and he just gets spat most of the time. In perfect conditions, he can hang on to it. In these conditions, it's not going to happen.
Haron on the inside could make a possibility of a maneuver. Brandon Good there hanging on just behind Goody. That's Levy.
Bew once again
A
just
super run from him.
gets a good drop off the line, and you know, with a little bit more horsepower, he could be able to actually come through. Here comes Haron. Yeah, let's see what tyres he's got on, because right now that's telling me he's on dries, and the track is dry enough for dry tyres.
Oh, the wind has changed ever so slightly.
Well, the wind is
direction.
helping though.
And
The
it's
wind is
keeping the
drying.
rain away, yeah.
The wind is drying what was down there, so a little bit of moisture. I was looking at the windows, and the windows are actually drying on the outside our commentary booth, so it looks like we're good. We may be able to just survive this one and ride it out.
Guys who would have gone for wets would have been in big trouble. But fortunately, no one did that, so we maintained
would have.
situation normal, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have been in trouble. I've been praying for more rain, maybe some hail as well.
I prayed for rain yesterday, it came and it worked out nicely. But I think today I'd be in another ballpark because on 2 wheels, it's a lot more difficult to ride in the rain.
All right, let's watch the 2 tall, lanky kids come through the field, because Haron is doing a nice
Change up
job.
for the lead.
There we go. There we
Sellers
go.
through on Isaacs.
The number 1 hits the front, and I think now that he knows the conditions are good enough, he'll pull the pin. Able to lap upwards of half a second faster than anyone else out there, so he's going to go.
I have to agree with you. He's probably just been sitting there in second going, okay, let's have a look and see what's going to happen
just
here.
feeling it out.
See what the conditions are like. Where is it wet? Where is it dry? It's dry right round. Okay, let's go.
Kershaw, I'd love to see him pull a second place. I'd love to see him get himself up there, because he is such a strong rider, and it's nice to see someone come straight out of the blocks, move on up to the bigger category. The BMW is a hard bike to get on with. Everyone says the Kawasaki is pretty easy. BMW is hard to ride.
It'll be a double second for him on the day, which is a perfect start to his season.
Yeah.
Beating the factory BMW, more importantly. I think that's probably his number one goal, is to beat the other BM on track. It's normally the number one goal of any rider that's on a similar machine. Beat the other bike that's of similar make to yours. And that's exactly what he's doing.
We are yet to crack into the 30s, so we hold our breath though, because Sella, now that he's got clear air, last time around was a 140.3. He will go into the 30s this time around. You can see the gap already. He's definitely waxed it and pulled away to the tune of maybe 0.3 or 0.4 off the front wheel of Isaacs, who's currently sits second place. But Sella should be able to get out there and run and hide.
Well, it certainly looks like it's going to be a tough day in the saddle here for these guys. They're really giving it everything they can, especially in these changeable conditions. It's not an easy thing to be riding a motorcycle when you've got rain on and off all the time, and you're concerned about the fact that grip is probably your major factor at this point.
Well, there we go. I was calling it just a second ago. We've now banged down into the 39 bracket, so 139.9. That is where we are, and Sella is going to run and hide. But I tell you what, Isaacs is reacting. He's now got the confidence in his bike, and he's one of those riders that if anything goes wrong, he needs to know that the bike is absolutely perfect. Now he's got second place. And remember, this is a long season, and those are the two riders coming into it that we knew would be going after each other. So Isaacs has to, just for his own confidence, have a good result coming out of round number one.
Well, he spoke about the fact that he's got an Italian boy all the way from the international series, showing him what to do in terms of setup on that bike and the electronic suspension systems available on that brand new BM. So once he's got that dialed in, he will definitely be back up and fighting. And to be honest with you, it looks like they've done an incredible job to get him well within grasp of Sella.
Yeah, it's going to be a story, but this season is a long one. We've got to go through 7 rounds of this championship, covering the length and breadth of South Africa and the motorsport circuits therein. It's going to be hard to try and beat Sella, though. He just knows that he can win at every circuit because he has.
Second round heads to Swartkops. The third round we go down to Cape Town. The fourth round we come back up to Gauteng to Red Star Raceway, then back down to the Eastern Cape for Port Elizabeth, back again to Red Star, and finally down to Shepstone.
It's exciting.
Lovely.
Exciting to go to PE.
Can't wait to get to Desi's Raceway.
PE is not necessarily the unknown, just somewhere we haven't been for a long time on the National Superbike
We haven't been
Tour.
on SuperGP, yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
So it's going to be fun to see what the guys do, and it's been there are a couple of guys on the tour, in particular Garrick Flock, that has not done a lap around that circuit.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that are going to be in for a bit of a wake-up call, and I think Pirelli will also be looking at that because it's an extremely abrasive circuit.
In fact, Garrick Flock, Goody, a couple of the guys who came out of Northern Regions Championship, which of course doesn't travel down to the coast, so there will be a big change-up. The guys who have been in it for a very long time will be up there, but I'm just getting through the cans here. Haron just threw in his hottest lap, so he's on the charge, up to 4th, with a potential of closing down on Kershaw. Let's see. He is running 0.7 faster on a lap, and he's only 0.1 behind him. So
yeah, he's definitely going to close on him.
It's going to happen now, like end of this lap.
End of this lap, he'll be able to close in on Kershaw. Kershaw will be concerned about that. He's just trying to be as conservative as possible, but not losing too much ground to Lance Isaacs. He realizes that, with these conditions, it's not going to be worthwhile throwing the bike down the road. Rather settle for third place if I have to. But if Haron comes along for the ride, there'll be big trouble.
I tell you what, at some point we'll revisit that crash, and if the director's got it in the can, I know we'll come and have a look at that. So Haron sits in 4th place at the moment, but we'll revisit his crash a little bit later on and show you how much damage was caused to that bike and how hard Odin Racing and RD Racing worked in between these races to put a bike back together good enough to potentially podium.
Well, I tell you, they worked extremely hard, and the thing that I hear you talking about is when the crash happened, it looked like it was big. When I caught up with Neil Haron on the way down the stairs to the podium, he said to me, no, the bike's okay, it's minimal damage, we'll get it sorted, which they've done. And a valiant effort there from RD Racing and from the boys from Odin.
And still, when a bike goes down the road, as a rider and as an engineer, you've got to check everything.
Yeah.
So it's still time. If I go see Dave Postlethwaite, his knuckles will be bleeding, I know.
It's used to it. He's worked with Donovan Faree.
Yeah, he's used to fixing bikes. Well, more to the point, he's worked with Simon Faree.
Yes, indeedy. So Kershaw now is looking. That's right. That's exactly what it is. It's Haron that we're looking for that crash. Here comes Isaacs into turn number 1 and closing. It's less than a second between Isaacs and Sella. So something's gone wrong on Sella that he's rolled out, or something's happening on the circuit somewhere. Sella has not got the commanding lead that he'd hoped for. It's down to 999. Here's the replay of Haron going down.
This is Haron going down in race number 1. Goes down the road. I mean, that's a big crash for me. It hit on the one side. It flipped over. It looks like maybe a little bit of problems on the levers, certainly the screen, and maybe one of the shifters. So it's still with some good wheel spinning from the Odin Bike Prep and RD Racing, and Dave Postlethwaite, who obviously does all the suspension tuning and engine prep there. Those guys did a lot of hustling, and we always like to high five the crews to make stuff happen, because it's not just the riders. But look what's happening out on track. Thanks for pointing that out, Craig.
Half a second.
Haron is coming, and coming fast.
Half a second on Kershaw, so that's how close it's got. It's well within grasp and well within striking distance. And another personal best out of Haron. That's exactly what he needed to do. A 40.227 in some tricky conditions is a good effort.
The only faster lap and rider on the circuit at the moment, and wasn't the last lap he put in as well, was Clinton Sella. Sella's fastest lap in this race in these weird conditions, a 140.1, Haron on a 140.2. So Haron is closing. He's going to have to make a very quick pass on Kershaw if he wants to carry this momentum forward. Otherwise, he's going to get balked, and he'll then fall off the pace. Won't be able to bridge that gap, because we're heading towards the halfway marker here.
And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Kershaw doesn't think he's there. He won't know until that wheel comes up the inside. Kershaw's been pretty much on his own for a long, long time. He'll know now. He'll definitely hear the exhaust behind him and realize that there is pressure coming from behind. And he would have seen the pit board saying that Haron's right with him.
7 laps completed. This is where we are. Sella leads out over Isaacs, but only by just over half a second. Kershaw is falling off the pace, but here's the pass. Quick, clean, neat. Here we go. 3rd place, Haron.
Yeah, nice move there. Didn't waste any time, and I think Kershaw was caught ever so slightly by surprise. Let's see if he can make a comeback here. He does come straight back at him. Nicely done.
Outbraked. No? Partially outbraked. He holds that middle line, so he goes for one apex, an entry apex, and then holds it wide afterwards. Oh, he heard us, He heard us over the mics. A little bit of a wiggle on the way out, but there are definitely places on this circuit where Haron will be better. That BMW bangs out of that Coca-Cola turn, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm impressed with the cornering speed and its ability to get out of the corner out of Coca-Cola. That is for sure. But now Haron has to try and find another way past. He tried to get him on the brakes. He got through, but unfortunately couldn't quite hang on to it for turn 3 as they got down to the toe of the boot. So hopefully we'll get a replay on that one. We can have a quick squiz at how well that worked for Haron. He was able to stick it up on the inside there and make it his own, but unfortunately just couldn't hold it. And Kershaw just brought the fight right back to him.
There
Here
we
they come.
go. A beautiful line there. I love that line. It's a classic one. Sweeps around the outside. You can only do that if you're extremely confident in your tires and suspension, to sweep around the outside, because it's a blind rise. You're getting pushed away, and he made the pass clean. But Kershaw was able to make the pass once again underneath him, and we'll have to see, because we're heading towards that next sector. Another wiggle. So it looks like Haron is really turning up the wick, trying to get on the gas maybe a little bit too early, and he's unsettling the bike.
I'm just about to say that our leader at the front end is under massive pressure.
He is in
It's
trouble.
0.4 of a second between Sella and Isaacs. Sella has not got an answer here to Lance Isaacs, and Isaacs knows it.
Isaacs is 0.3 of a second faster on the lap. So he's closed him, and he's able to run faster lap times. Here we go. I didn't think we were going to see this so early in the season, but Isaacs so often did this to us last year. A terrible race 1, or what looked like a terrible race 1, and he comes back with a perfect bike in race 2. Perfect for him.
Just tweak here, a little twin there, and hopefully not
Throw a wedge there.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about. Tires,
Haron looks like he still has not passed Kershaw. This is the sector where the BMW is so strong. Look at that. 2 bike lengths, just under sheer horsepower pull coming out of the Coca-Cola turn.
Haron had to ride the ring out of that one to get onto the back end. He did. He really went onto the back end of that and gave it everything he could, and it worked. Because he's now within chance of striking, and he's into the slipstream.
Here we go. I'll tell you what, though, you cannot pass Kershaw on slipstream. That bike is too strong.
Yeah.
Everyone's been talking about some of the restrictions that came into play and worked against BMW, worked against Kawasaki. I'm seeing extremely even racing here today.
Yeah.
And I think it's what the powers that be were looking for as well, because we've got, it's a Neo Life, but yeah, we know it's a Kawasaki under the seat of Clinton Sella versus the Black Swan BMW of Lance Isaacs. Again, a privateer BMW under the Tsunami Beach Bar colors versus the Odin Kawasaki. 6 laps to go, and there are 2 incredible dices on the circuit, and here is potential pass, I was going to say, but he showed the wheel and showed it well.
Yeah, I think there's some... They've just slowed each other up a little bit there, going to the tune of about a second a lap, so they've lost some ground to Sella and Isaacs, but Isaacs only losing 1/10 of a second there on that last one. So he's still got a chance, and he's probably just waiting for a bit later on in the race to make his move.
Lines are starting to get covered, Greg, normally this stage of the race, and I'm going to call it out as we watch Haron get a little bit wild, but he is matched by Kershaw. Calling out Kershaw for the rookie, man. I mean, if he walks away with a second and a third, his first time out onto the thousands, that's rookie of the day.
Now, good effort here from our rookie in the 1000cc class. Definitely a good effort from him, and he certainly is looking for a chance to be back on that podium, but he has got big pressure coming from Brent Haron, who of course is trying to make amends for race 1.
This is just stopping Haron though. He did such a big charge to get up onto the back wheel of Kershaw, and it's been 3 laps now that he's either passed, fought, and been fought back. Now he seems to be stuck behind the Tsunami Beach Bar BMW of Kershaw, who is riding out of his skin and looks like he belongs in SuperGP Championship racing.
Yeah, he definitely looks comfortable on that 1000cc. I thought it might take him a while to get used to it. It hasn't taken him a hell of a long time, which is great to see. Ulevi still hanging on for a possibility of a top 8.
Just staying with Goody there. No, staying with Scholzi this time around. So it's Scholzi who's at the back. Brandon Good is one place up the road from him, but there's a fair chunk of road that he's got to bridge to try and close that gap. Here's Haron, and it's another place. He's tried it before. He's not going to get it again. You can't just keep trying the same thing. Unfortunately, you have to figure out somewhere else on the track to make it count. And it's now been 4.5 laps where Haron has, for want of a better word, been stuck behind the BMW.
There it comes, outside sweep onto the inside into
And
turn
again.
2. Makes it thick this time. Now hopefully he can keep it. Watch for the drive of the BMW coming out of this turn. Might try to squeeze up the inside and return the favour.
Haron got good drive.
Almost identically to what we had last time.
Haron got good drive, or good enough drive to stay out there. There's Garrick Flock, very lonely down there in 5th place. Brandon Good
Haron's
is there.
hung on.
Haron did hang on to that, so the 77 is, well, not clear, but he has clear air in front of him. But we're coming up on lappers, and we saw with the combination of Super M versus Super GPs, the lap times are distinctly slower, so they do come upon the slower traffic quite early on in the race. We've completed 10 laps of 15, and it's going to be making passes clean from now on.
Yeah, I've got to try and find a way past the back markers here. The reason they've caught the back markers a little bit quicker than last time is due to probably the rainy conditions. It's Gavin Breckel that is the first rider that's passed from the Motos Clarkstorp team, and that's pretty easily done for those two. No problems for the two of them, and actually weren't really hindered by that back marker at all.
Yeah, easier for Haron, who was able to switch up line and get back onto the perfect line. Kershaw having to make the pass late on the straight, unable to do the sweep back. So you can see he was a little bit unsettled, but yeah, he has made the pass clean. Haron is comfortable in 3rd place for now, and we're getting feedback from the timing that it looks like it was a little bit of false hope that was offered to Lance Isaacs from Clinton Sella, as Sella is back into the 39s and pulling away once again.
Yeah, with 4 laps to go now, Sella has pulled about 3.5 seconds on Lance Isaacs. He managed to put in 2 laps of 39.666, as you can see there, but a 39.997 on the last one. So that's how he's managed to open up that margin. Isaacs just didn't have an answer. He looked to go with him, and unfortunately could only match with a 41.593.
These long races here at the Super GP Champions Trophy, 15 laps of the Phakisa race circuit, an extremely physical, demanding circuit. Most people think, oh, it's got a lot of straights, it's not so hard. But when you have to bury yourself behind that bike and spend so much time, particularly on the right-hand side of the bike, it is exhausting. And knowing from our own experience, I mean, I've suffered cramp on this circuit because you're on your right-hand leg so much.
Yeah, it definitely is a demanding circuit. It's a purpose-built motorcycle circuit. Remember, they built this for MotoGP. It's great to have SuperGP here for the 3rd time in the last 2 years. And now, by the looks of things, even though Sella's pulling away, Isaacs is actually starting to fall by the wayside. So I wouldn't even say, even though Sella put in some hot laps, it was also a case of Isaacs slowing down ever so slightly and falling into the clutches of Haron and Kershaw. Kershaw and Haron are in the 40s and 48 and a 41.3. We're getting 41.5s out of Isaacs. Isaacs is in trouble.
He is in trouble, but he's got
pressure from behind very soon. He's looking back.
He's looking back, but he's got a 3-second buffer, but he is definitely looking back and fading backwards. We will be able to see, you know what, it might be a fueling situation. He is very nervous out there. Last lap a 141.5, now a 141.8, so he hasn't improved. And it's not like he's had lap traffic to get through. So Isaacs has simply fallen off the pace. And Brent Haron is running 1.5 seconds a lap faster than him. So second place is on the cards because the gap is only 3. But there are only 3 laps in it. Oh, how often does that happen?
It's going to be tight.
It literally is going to come down to the last lap and possibly the last few turns. Haron is going to have to bury himself.
I think that's exactly what he's looking to do. He realizes that Isaacs is slowing, and he will see Isaacs further up the road in certain sectors looking back. So I can tell you that's exactly what Haron will do. He'll realize that his good friend Lance Isaacs is in some trouble, and he'll be looking to get past him as quickly as possible. Brandon Good goes flying past Gavin Brickle and makes his way through. Isaacs is now well within grasp of Brent Haron. Haron can see him and can see the concern coming from Isaacs. He keeps looking back, and he's definitely slowing down and falling into the clutches of Brent Haron.
His body language is telling us that as well. Doesn't look like drive or tires. It looks like it's either, and he complained about this last year as well, if you recall, brakes. He says the BMW is a heavy bike. It's still a heavy bike this year, and it does chew brakes. And on this circuit, you are absolutely murdering the brakes. There are 3 stand on your nose, stop, dead corners, and the BMW does chew them.
Did you see that weird change?
Yeah.
In the middle of the
Change
right-hander
is-
into Geelkop, he went down 2 gears.
He's got a gearbox problem. You're dead right. He is just not getting drive out of the turns, and that is what's dropping him off 1.5 seconds. It's going to happen on this lap or possibly the next, but Haron has closed in to the tune of, crosses the line now. He is only 1.5 seconds off the back wheel of Isaacs. It's on for second place. 1.5 seconds, and now you don't have to tell him, you don't have to show him numbers. He can see the rider out front.
Get your calculators out. Get your cameras out.
I've got it.
Just take everything out. Bring your cell phones.
I've
whatever
had
you
my
need.
abacus out for the last 3 laps.
It's about to get real here into the last 2 laps of Super GP. Second race of the day at the opening round of Digital Entertainment On Demand Super GP Championship Trophy.
It looked like it was going to be a horror show, but look at the riding style of Isaacs. He is in massive trouble. You know what? He's lost second gear. He's having to rail these turns in third. He's getting no mid-corner. He's getting no good drive. He's got the top gears. He's lost second gear.
Yeah, look at that. Let's watch for those gear changes now. Keep your eyes on the left-hand side of the bike, because that's where we're going to be seeing things happening, and whether he's going to be able to... Just watching through there. Does he go to an early
Haron's not
change?
closing quick enough now. I don't know if he just rolled out of it, but Haron is now all of a sudden not closing anymore. That gap has remained.
Yeah, it's pretty even in terms of what we're looking at there between the two of them, about 2.2 seconds. So Kershaw, he's not going to be involved in this one, but he is going to take Rookie of the Day. There's no doubt about that in both our minds.
Our race leader is about to cross the stripe. In fact, Clinton Seller should be crossing the stripe actually as we are speaking and just legging it away from the rest. Here he comes. One more lap to go for our race leader and heading towards his perfect start to the season. But the story is for second place. These are
Podium
some shots.
4, yep.
Yeah, so some shots of the Super M's coming in. This is what we're going to watch for the next lap. What is the gap there? It is... just under 2 seconds.
2 seconds, about 2 seconds. So Isaacs is really having to use every bit of his international experience, his World Superbike experience, multiple South African Championship experience. He hasn't won a championship yet, but he certainly has got oodles.
It always blows me away that Lance Isaacs, how good he is and how long he's been around, and he has been at the sharp end for many years. The fact that he hasn't run a championship has got to hurt him, because he's getting on. He is getting on. You don't see it, but he's running out of years, man.
Okay, he banged it down twice there going through, so that's 4 and 5. He's gone back to third there, so I'm going to go with your prediction. Probably lost either second or third gear and is having to play around in the top gears to try and keep Haron out. Haron is still coming though.
But look at the experience of the man. He's looking around.
He's worried.
He's looking around. He is working super hard. The good news is though, he has got a big enough gap that he may be able to maintain. If Haron closes to within a couple of bike lengths though, heading into the hook, he's in trouble. But I don't think it's going to happen. The BMW is so good in those third, fourth, fifth gears. I don't think he touches 6, funny enough. I think they run quite long gears.
5, yeah.
Just a 5 at the top. No, we are on the last lap. It ain't going to happen.
Time.
It's not going to happen. And Haron will have to walk away with that third place.
Listen, good consolation.
It's good consolation.
On the podium.
But remember, he lost a ton of points in race 1.
Yeah, not the way he wanted to finish race 1, but I'm sure he'll be happy about the fact that he's back on the podium for race 2. So checkered flag comes out, and it's going to be given to the Neo Life Machine once again of Clinsella. Another perfect weekend here at the Phakisa Freeway. He wins out the second race of Super GP Champions Trophy for 2015. Isaacs on the back wheel, not too happy I'm sure, but managed to survive for second. And Brent Haron, consolation there in third place, beating out Kershaw, who will take the Rookie of the Day.
In the Super M's, all about Bu Levy taking his perfect day. He got pole, he got a win in Heat 1 and a win in Heat 2. Yanni Moll gets second, and Neil van Longenberg. I think that's pretty much how they finished up in Heat number 1 as well. So Greg will go down and catch up with those boys.
Okay, folks, let's get on to the podium ceremony here as our Super GP riders put their bikes up. We're going to get the Super M riders up first just to congratulate them for race number 2. Third place, once again, it is the exact repeat of race number 1, so let's get them back into the positions. You know where to go. Neil van Lockenberg, you're going to go to third place. Yanni Moll, you're going to go to second, and Bu Levy, you'll go on to the top of the podium. Big round of applause for our Super M riders, guys. Awesome job for all of you. And third place going to be handed out by Mr. Tim Cook to Neil van Lockenberg. Another trophy for him. Nice day in the office there, Neil. Second place by Lee Watson from Gas Sports to Yanni Moll. And once again on top and taking 2 trophies home with him today, as well as all the other ones for Motors Clarksdorp. Good effort there, Bu Levy. Let's give him a big round of applause. There is your Super M trophy winners for the day in race number 2. Good effort there, guys. Awesome job. We'll get to the interviews at the end there, so just stick around, please, Bu. We're not going to do all 3, just Bu Levy, please. And then getting up into the main race now, let's get a couple of riders and some other representatives up there today. In the Super GP race number 2. What a race they put on for us. It was top quality stuff, and I think it just bodes well for the season in general. In third place, making a welcome recovery back onto the podium after a bit of an incident in race number 1. The Black Knight himself, riding for Odin and R&D Racing and Kawasaki. Let's hear it for Brent Haron. Whenever you're ready, Brent. Thanks, buddy. Good job. Second place, I'm sure he's going to be a lot happier with one step higher on the podium. Let's hear it for Black Swan Racing's Lance Isaacs. And once again, a double on the day in the Super GP class for the Neo Life Racing team. It's Evil Knievel on top, Clinsella. Joining them on the podium as well is going to be our Rookie of the Day. It's his first time out in the 1000cc class. He managed to get onto the podium in the first one. He just missed it in the second one. So let's hear it for the Tsunami Beach Bar, the Benoni Bomber himself, Nicholas Kershaw. And our manufacturer's representative coming to join us on behalf of Kawasaki, or it's going to be Kawasaki going to ask, I'm not sure who it's going to be. It's going to be Brad and Nassus. I'm sure they'll come up on their behalf due to the fact that we've got more Kawasaki's there. But there you go, up on top. Thank you, Brad. Thanks for joining us. And let's get those trophies out quickly. First of all, to the Rookie. He's going to be handing the Rookie out. Thank you, Lee. Lee Watson to the Benoni Bomber there. Nicholas Kershaw, well done. That's a valiant effort there, and I'm sure we're going to see more of him on the podium. Congrats to everybody. Third place handed out by, waiting to see, Tim Cook. There we go. Thank you, Tim, from Gas Sports. That goes to third place. And Neil Haron will be happy with that, eh? Much better effort there, I think. Neil, what do you think? At least he brought the bike home and didn't Rob and Gav having to do any work there. Second place from Lee Watson to Lance Isaacs. And first place, Stephen Watson from Gas Sports to Clinsella. All right, we know what time it is now, so enjoy the spoils there, guys. Yes, indeed, that's what it's all about. Good job. Well held on catching the trophy and not letting it drop and break. Manufacturer, yeah, that's got to go to, I'm not sure who you're going to give it to because there's no representative here for them. I don't know. Is Arnold Olivier still here? Is Arnie Olivier still here? We can maybe ask him to come up and collect it on their behalf. Is he around? No, not there, but we'll get that to them. Don't worry. Thank you very much. Bu Levy, are you around? Let's get Bu in here first before we get into Super GPs. First of all, Super M going all according to plan there from your point of view, and I know that you want to take that number 1 plate away from Carl. Now that he's not here, it's certainly up for grabs, and a great start with the double win.
Yeah, I'd rather race him and try and win it that way, but unfortunately he's not here. He's concentrating on ZX10 Cup, so let's see what I can do. Yeah, maybe we'll get some more entries for the next race, and it'll be more fun for us as well.
It was a hell of a lot of fun to have you guys out there, and congratulations for bringing all those riders along. I think more of the same is going to happen as we head to Swartkops. There's a couple of riders that are kind of Swartkop specialists, and I know you'll be making a few phone calls.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I haven't got a good record there, so I hope to set it straight, and maybe we can ride with the SuperGP and it'll get our pace up as well.
Certainly did a great job. Well done, and congratulations on a double there. Let's go to third place, Brent Haron. Brent Haron, are you there? Come on in here, Brenny. First of all, the first race, unfortunately, just didn't go your way. You're pushing hard, but it didn't quite end up the way you wanted it to. Put it down. A little bit of work for the team to do, but they managed to sort it out and get you back on the podium.
Yeah, no, firstly, I think everyone a huge apology. All the guys, Dave, Postlethwaite, Gavin Peterson, my dad, Ara, KMSA, everyone that's been involved with me, Moroso Pipes, DNA Air Filters, 40 Wings range of beds, all been putting the effort into me, and I went and did that in the first race. I saw I got the quickest lap, and I was starting to catch Clint and just push way too hard going into Coke Bottle. So big mistake on my behalf, and I think in the second race now I definitely had more pace in me, but saw a bit of a split on my visor, and rather back off and get points and not to repeat what I did in race 1.
Nicely done, but a good recovery, and now we head to Swartkops. It's always been good to you, so I'm sure you're looking for a little bit of retribution on getting back into the top of the podium.
Yeah, no, we have to. Really disappointed about how I did today. Everything's on me. I made mistakes, so hopefully in Swartkops we keep it on the black stuff and we get a win.
Awesome job, well done, and congratulations, all the very best for that one. Let's go to second place. Here he is. He hasn't really moved. Nice to see you not leaving me all on my own some here. Thanks very much, Lancey. Dude, a much better effort out there in the second one. Certainly massive improvements I could see on the bike, but halfway through you kind of rolled off ever so slightly.
It actually helps when the gear lever stays on, but yeah, you know, it's really nobody's fault in the first race. Those things happen. Yeah, definitely we made a few changes to the suspension. You know, like I said, we're learning as we go along, and we definitely went a lot better. I think Clint was a little bit tentative in the first half of the race, and I managed to, you know, just stick with him. His bike has definitely got the edge around here. I think this track really suits the Kawasaki, but you know, we're still learning on the BMW, and we can only get better from here. You know, the Black Swan Energy BMW Motorrad BMW S1000 is running well. I can't complain. We're getting better and better. We'll see what happens come mid-season.
I know you've done some testing at Swartkops, so there's a good possibility that you've got a good setup there. Hopefully it all goes well.
I'd like to say yes, but we don't actually. All we did was just try to run the bike in. We don't really have any setup whatsoever. So this is the first time we've actually been able to try and make some sort of a setup. So we'll definitely go back to the drawing board, and Clint better be checking his heels because we'll be there.
Awesome stuff. Good job, and good luck for the next one. Let's get the top man on the top of the podium back with me here. Where did he disappear to? Clint Seller. Oh, you're able to come and join us here for a final one, and then we're going to head back up to Matt. Clint, in terms of the team, it's a valiant effort on all behalves, because you guys have kind of walked away with a perfect weekend. Stephen cleaning up completely in the Super 600s, and the same thing applies to you in the Super GPs.
Yeah, definitely. It shows the quality of the team. You know, we had a little bit of a hiccups in the off season with regard to some manufacturers and stuff like that. So it was a challenge. We didn't ride a lot at all. So it just shows the quality of the team and the people working on these motorcycles, that no matter what, we come out and the bike's working straight away. So I'm quite blessed for the team that I have and the people that surround me when we come to go ride motorbikes.
The Diode SuperGP Champions Trophy is proudly brought to you by Digital Entertainment On Demand and their associate sponsors.